You ever get that gut punch email, hey, we've decided not to go ahead, but thanks, and you've already done half the work? Yeah, me too. That's why this video is going to show you how to write a freelance video contract that protects your time, your money, and your sanity. I've been doing this for years and haven't been ghosted once since using this contract. And stick around, because I'll share the one line I always include that lets me keep using the work I make for clients even after they pay me. But first things first. I am not a lawyer. I don't play one on YouTube. This isn't legal advice, just the exact contract that I use for my freelance video and motion design gigs. So think of it like a recipe. You can tweak the ingredients to your taste, but the structure keeps it from turning into a hot mess. So let's start simple. Like any good story, we need a cast. Write your name, the client's name, addresses, and any official identification numbers like VAT. This makes it official, no mystery characters, and it makes it a party. Now we get to scope of work. This section is your superhero suit. It tells the client exactly what you're gonna do. Motion design and/or video editing for the project, which you either just name or describe in detail. Next, deliverables. What are you going to give them? Be specific. A 2-minute video in MP4 format? Does it have subtitles, a storyboard? What exactly are you gonna provide? And always include the number of revisions. This is super important. I usually say 1 round, but you may feel more generous. Now, why is this important? Because just one more tweak is the gateway drug to endless unpaid edits. And trust me, this line saves lives, or at least weekends. Also, do they want anything extra? That needs a change order. That means more money and more time. Simple as that. Next, set the start date, the final deadline, and important milestones. For example, when should the storyboard be done? Well, how about the first draft, the final approval? This way, nobody's left wondering, well, hey, when am I gonna get my video? And also put in a little line that says they need to give feedback within, say, 2 business days. That keeps the ball rolling and avoids that dreaded 2-week silence. Smell that? Smells like money. But how much money? Well, you need to spell it out. Include the total fee for the project. Also, how much is due upfront. I usually do 50% upfront and 50% on delivery. Mention the payment methods like bank transfer and where they should pay. That would be your bank account. And how long after invoicing do they have until they have to pay. And obviously what happens if they miss the deadline. I usually charge 0.5% per day once they go over the deadline. And one more thing, the kill fee. If they bail halfway through, you still get paid for what you've done. I would say a minimum between 25 and 50%. Think of it like insurance, but for your time. Now let's move on to client responsibilities. This part puts a tiny bit of the load back on their shoulders. They have to send logos, fonts, or any branding by a certain date, ideally within the first week after the project starts. They also have to give feedback on time, and you need to spell out what that means. Make sure anything they send you, like music, voiceovers, and so on, is legal to use. Because here's the thing, you're responsible for the end product. And if that end product contains things that you don't have a license for, you're gonna be in big trouble. But here's my favorite part. Respect the freelancer's freedom and right to work for other clients. It means you're free to take on other projects and that you're not at their beck and call every minute of every day. And this last line is valid for both you and the client, and it simply states that you cannot pass on the obligations to a different party without each other's consent, meaning that they cannot pass on the agreement to a different company and you cannot pass on the work to a different freelancer. Now your turn. You promise to use industry standard tools, to meet deadlines unless there's a hurricane or a plague, but that's its own section, so we'll get to that in a bit. Follow their instructions as long as they make sense, and stay in touch and respond quickly. But what exactly is quickly? Again, spell it out. You know when a client texts you a big change at 11 p.m. and later says, well, what, that wasn't official? Yeah, no, it wasn't. In your contract, say all communication has to happen over email. No DMs, no WhatsApp, no smoke signals, just email. That's your proof if anything goes sideways. So how quickly is quickly? Well, for me, that's 1 business day. For you, that might be different. Just don't go overboard and say a week or something. And this one is paramount. Everything needs to be confirmed in writing. It doesn't matter what you discussed on the phone or on Zoom or anywhere else. It needs to be black on white. Even if you discuss things through other mediums, always write a summary and send it via email for confirmation. Now, list how many revision rounds are included. Like I said, I recommend 1, but it's up to you. If they want more, Simply add an hourly rate or a flat fee for extra changes. This will cover you once they come back with just 17 tiny tweaks. Never again. Now, here's the juicy part that I promised earlier. Your contract should say the client gets full ownership only after they pay in full, you get to keep the source files and drafts, and you can use the finished work in your portfolio or for self-promotional purposes. That's your creative resume. It's like baking a cake for someone. They get to eat it, but you get to keep the recipe and a photo for your website as proof that you actually baked that cake. Now, GDPR is just for those of you who work with EU clients, but it's also a good rule of thumb. If you're working with any personal data, say you won't share it, and you'll delete it if they ask. Honestly, this just shows that you're a professional, even if your job is, animating flying tacos. And it's the same with confidentiality. Promise to keep sensitive information private. Launch plans, secret sauces, unreleased videos, doesn't matter. This is a good trust builder. Unfortunately, sometimes projects break up like a bad relationship. So put in that either side can cancel with 7 days notice and that you'll be paid for what you've done so far. That way, no hard feelings and no lost hours. And end the contract on a strong note. Your liability is capped at what they paid. Disputes go to mediation or arbitration, so no lawsuits first, but if you do get sued and win, make sure that they pay for everything. Each of you keeps your own rights unless you both agree otherwise. Also throw in that you're an independent contractor, you're not their employee, so no, they cannot make you show up at 9 AM in a suit. If a calamity happens, it's nobody's fault and you cannot be held responsible, and you negotiated everything in this agreement. Anything else is no longer valid. It doesn't matter what you discussed prior to this. And I also like to add a line that says that this agreement will be signed remotely. And lastly, you have the names, signatures, and the dates of signing. A solid contract is like armor for your business. And once you've got it on, you can focus on what you actually love doing, which is creating. So download the contract template in the description, make it your own, and start every project with confidence. And remember, always protect your time, your talent, and your tacos. Just checking if you're still watching. Comment tacos below so I know you made it to the end. And just one more thing. If you want to know what skills you need to make it as a freelancer, watch this video next.